I'm not going to throw science out just because science is making errors today. I have to recognize that science is an evolving field. It's not static. The problem is when we say this is it and that's its final, that unfortunately is a limitation that is not really supported by the consciousness and awareness of our planet. Everything is always evolving and moving. And this is what we have to recognize. Yesterday's science is evolving into tomorrow's new world.
I was working with a woman who was dying, literally dying, of metastatic cancer. I did a 20-minute exercise with her on forgiveness. And this woman, who was brought in on a stretcher, got up and walked out of the room free of pain. 3 months later, her cancer was gone, never to return.
As consciousness goes to these deeper levels, smaller scale in the universe, but also higher levels of consciousness at the same time. In other words, a greater intensity, briefer time, more non-local, interacting with consciousness all around, it does become more and more like idealism, where we're all one and interconnected, entangled, and closer, in fact, one with the Platonic values embedded in the universe. So at that level of the scale, consciousness becomes more like idealism, I must admit.
You know, there is this epidemic that happens with ideas. You know, we think of epidemics as about disease, but in truth, it's also about concepts and ideas. And to the extent we can feed each other with positive ideas, with hopeful messages, that can spread, that can ripple. Just seeing somebody with a smile on their face makes the person observing that happier. I mean, this isn't rocket science. This is something we can do.
We're at a transition point, I think, for humanity in which phenomena will appear in our sensory system. And therefore, the orthodox science community, smart as they are, will need to develop new tools for the future adventure for all of us.
I think what's really different about what's coming forward with the new science is that it recognizes a central role of human consciousness. That consciousness is the creator, the co-creator, and consciousness is possibly the most important element. And so if you don't allow for consciousness in any kind of scientific investigation, you're missing the whole point.
We can honor these peer-reviewed, controlled laboratory and clinical studies and revise our ideas of the nature of consciousness, or we can disregard them and stick with their old ideas that consciousness is confined in its effects to an individual's brain and body. However, ignoring data is not doing good science. We should be able and willing to follow data wherever it leads us. Where it leads us is to a radical new view of the nature of human consciousness.
Eventually, you will come to understand that love heals everything, and there's nothing but love.